Kenobi! Sorry. Back on task at hand. Welcome to Three Simple Men Making Their Way Through the Galaxy. I'm Tom. With me is Ryan and Mike, and we are still in the Clone Wars. We're in season 2. I forgot the episode.
Episode 4.
Yep, we're jumping around chronologically.
Yep. And the title is Senate Spy. And I think, in fairness, the theme of this episode is, what will you do for love?
So we'll hop into the quote. The starting quote is, "A true heart should never be doubted." Bold take. I think the theme of this episode is how not to spy or cover things up. So I'm just gonna bring this out there. So right off the bat, we get the reuniting of the secret married couple, Anakin and Padme, and they reunite at Padme's apartment, I guess, on Coruscant, that has, no wall and is just completely open to all of the city of Coruscant.
And if we're really going to talk about what you're talking about, it's how that conversation goes later on when Obi-Wan's been contacting him, and he says, I've not answered for 7 clicks, which probably sounds like 7 hours, in my opinion.
But like nobody flying by on one of these, speeders or whatever, it happens to get, hey, isn't that famous senator that a war was fought over in Naboo, or isn't that the legendary General Anakin, and they're sitting on a couch all loving, like the thing's completely open. And then furthermore, we get this whole plan which we can get into too, but the Jedi want Anakin to convince Padme to spy on Senator Rush Clovis, and Anakin and her decide to have the conversation about the spying in the middle of the Senate floor.
Yeah.
And start arguing about spying with every are those secret? Are they like?
I guess the Senate House have like a microphone off feature or something, because I mean, you would think that if you're gonna have that kind of, it would echo.
Favor. I mean, they're not discreet about certain things like that. And now I'm thinking about it, like, my joke is, imagine if they had like their own TMZ with a paparazzi droid. It's like, what would be the worst caption?
But they don't. I mean, it's just not covert. Like, it just seemed everything's just out in the open. It's like they weren't doing a great job at hiding anything. And like Senator Clovis doesn't know who Anakin is. He doesn't know that he's a Jedi when he sees him as the pilot. Like, it just seemed it's just sloppy. I mean,
like I said, it's not in the best interest right now with these two. It is just, I get it, they're away, but it's more of like you have to look around wholeheartedly, and the whole mindset is, as much as I miss you, we have to maintain the shadow of we're just friends. We're not.
Even that aside, they're planning a covert spying mission, just discussing it out in the open, using the term spy multiple times. They even say, "Oh, spy!" They start yelling at each other, and like, "Oh, spy! You want me to spy on Clovis?" Like, they're saying these things.
So then it gets into my, like, what if hot take theory right off the bat? It's like, now that you mention it, I'm thinking about it. It's like, what if there was another representative of the Trade Federation and he overhears this right off the bat? It's like everything just goes kaput, because they're like, don't bring Clovis into this because he is a target of the Republic. And if he's a target of the Republic, we want no affiliation with this. We got to keep everything under control.
And I will say, I think, stepping back now to the discussion between the Jedi Council and Anakin about him needing to convince Padme to spy on Clovis. If it was only ever just conjecture before, or just our hypothesizing, I think it's absolutely guaranteed with his facial expression that Obi-Wan is totally aware of what's going on between Anakin and Padme. Like,
Oh,
I think this
100%.
for finally settles it, because his reaction when Anakin was getting a little jealous over this prior relationship with Clovis, and they have the shot on Obi-Wan's face,
Yeah,
and
it's
he's
like
kind of like,
I was like, oh, they were good friends in the past. Like, oh, I didn't know that, and that's when it flips to Obi-Wan. Like, all right,
he's like,
sus.
Damn it, Anakin's overpowered by the pussy. God damn it.
so it was definitely
It's funny that Padme, when they were talking out in the open, it's like, oh, Yoda never told me that he was a separatist spy. It's just like, oh, I turned it down because like I'm not gonna. It's like, and
that
then
was
you got
also
the Jedi
weird.
Council like, oh, hey, Padme, we want you to spy on this, but we're not gonna tell you why we need you to spy. It's like
Yeah,
it just
he
yeah,
buried
I
the
mean, a
lead.
spy
Come
mission
on.
just gone wrong in so many different ways. Like whether
But can
it's
I just
Anakin,
throw this
Padme,
in
just
Padme's favor too? It's like that during that conversation, it's like Anakin, he's like as emotional as he is.
mhm.
Padme brings up good points. She's like, I've been in danger since I was like a teenager as a queen. Why the fuck is this any
Or
different?
you get shot all the time. Yeah, it's like.
She really threw it back in his goddamn face.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because like Anakin, like when he's like, "Oh, I gotta go, I gotta call it off," and he goes, "Nothing personal, but duty comes first, especially in wartime." And then once Padme finds out, she uses that same quote against him. So yeah, you definitely
Rub
see a
it
lot of
back in
that.
his face.
hmm
Oh,
I don't know
she,
if that was your quote, but yeah, that was definitely mine.
Oh, it was a good
you,
catch.
you
Yeah,
used
it's
by
kind of
Anakin and then used
it,
by Padme as the, you know what? I'm accepting this mission and I'm spying on Clovis. So
and then they go out to the planet. Is it net? No,
Modia.
yeah,
The
and of course, what do we get? We get Senator Lot Dodd, a Nemodian. Nemodian? Am I saying that
Yeah,
right?
seen him before,
Napoleon.
and
Yeah, and what an original idea he comes up with this time. Something that they've never thought of before. Let's kill Padme. It's
yeah.
like he like presents it like it's a new great idea. Like, I have an
Well,
idea. How about
first
we
is a new
poison
gunray
her?
tries to kill her. Now it's Lot died. Yeah, you would think with. I'm surprised that they would try and rekindle the friendship, given that now that we've seen episode one again in theaters, Lot Da was the one who objected to Queen Amidala's claims that the or Queen or her statement. Yeah, my plan's getting invaded by the Trade Federation. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to order a commission and have the Senate bogged down in procedures. It's like
Yeah, I mean that's all they're
I'm surprised that they would,
all they want to do is kill her.
not to mention, yeah, Newt Gunray tried to assassinate her. It's like it's just amazing that people think that with the way the Trade Federation's been acting, it's like, oh well, we're gonna have this facade, we're gonna play nice and bullshit. It's like, no,
Yeah,
not buying it.
it's well said, Mike. Well said, because I mean, we're going back into this. We're way past May the 4th, Revenge of the 5th, May the 501st, and all that stuff.
The six,
If
yeah,
anyone's not curious or wondering what he's talking about, The Phantom Menace was re-released into theaters after what, 20, 25 years?
25 years.
5 year anniversary.
25, good 25. And which I want to give a shout out to The Phantom Menace right now, because from what I've heard, it was just breaking the box office records lately. I guess I know theaters
People have
aren't
that
doing that well,
renewed appreciation for the prequels, so
but
yeah.
oh yeah. And then of course, you gotta give his roses Ahmed Best. We can't stress this enough because of what he's dealt with as Jar Jar Binks. You know,
True.
Yeah, you may hate the character, but don't hate the actors.
no, we love you,
Unfortunately,
Ahmed Best. You're
we
awesome.
have that toxic fan base in Star Wars. I mean, I hate to call groups out there, but yeah, just yeah.
Y'all toxic sometimes.
Mhm.
Like
It was definitely fun seeing it in theaters again. We also got the release of some new Star Wars content, the Tales of the Empire, which I realized, Mike, we're gonna have to do a little deep diving and research and figure out where that falls chronologically, because that might have to weave its way into some
Yeah,
episodes pretty
like,
soon. That might have to
We-
be, because
get
we
the
might have
work
to
done.
backtrack. Maybe not.
No, we're good. I think with the characters that were featured, it's deeper in the Clone War, so we got plenty of time. And then between episode 3 and episode 4, so we've got timeline wise, we're in great shape.
All right, good.
All
Yeah,
right,
so we got
I'm
that, and we got a trailer for the Acolyte, which when that comes out, timeline wise, I guess we'll have to, I don't know, jump ship or do some special Acolyte episodes, depending
I
on.
think we have to take a break.
now I got a Darth Vader lightsaber.
Uh-oh.
I'm just pulling out all my lightsabers right now because I never really got to celebrate May the 4th. So I'm like, hang on, folks. I got 3 more.
That's our Patreon, Tom, where you pull out your lightsabers. That's our.
No, that's my OnlyFans.
Okay. Gotta be careful with that. No, but I mean the episode, besides pissing me off because of the lack of you know uh strategic stealth on anyone's part. Uh I guess it was fun. Well, I will say, I guess we really jumped around, but to the end, I think we see a little dark side Anakin creeping on at the end. And I thought it was kind of interesting the way the door was kind of, so he gets Padme, who's been poisoned, gets the antidote, gets on the ship to leave with the stolen hologram or the spy, the material they were trying to get, the intel. And
Which, by the way, the intel, it's I think it's gonna play along later on in the episodes we're gonna watch moving forward. And I'm gonna take a guess, looking at the geographical structure of those pillars, I think we're going back to Geonosis, boys. I
makes
think
Not to
sense.
mention,
I think
there's
we're gonna
Poggle
go
the
back to
Lesser,
where it all
so
began.
not to mention you had Poggle the Lesser. There was one person who pulled off stealth this episode was him because they had that lovely meeting and then just hides away in a corner as Padme's coming down. It's like, oh hey, I'm pretty lonely here. Let's catch up. And then they had to break off the meeting and like, yeah, we'll catch up at dinner. But yeah, Poggle definitely pulled off stealth this episode, so give him props.
Yeah, but so Anakin chooses to basically leave Senator Clovis behind pretty much to his death, you would
Mhm.
assume. And we get this kind of amazing shot of just Anakin holding Padme in his ship or in the ship, and the doors just kind of closing up on him, and he's just kind of looking down. He's got the high ground. He's looking down at Clovis and basically says, and Clovis is like, "Give me back the intel," and he's like,
Oh, you actually said it. He's like, that's actually true. That's the first time he's had the high ground.
"What?" I mean,
Wow. Who
and
knows? He'll be
and he
in
says
for a
no, and
MasterCard down the road. Bum, bum.
well, and with the door shutting, it kind of reminded me of like, um, we see that kind of closing thing uh a lot of times, right? We see it in the future films. Like it kind of reminded me of when uh the doors that when the doors closing on
Are you thinking of like a
Leia and Chewie when Han's being taken away in the carbonite, you kind of get this like
oh, I
closing
thought you were thinking of more of like in A New Hope where the probe droid with the needle is about to stick it into Leia, and then you see
get
Vader
that
and the
too.
door just close.
You get that. You get it kind of with the opening too when you're seeing like his head in the
Yeah,
mask. It just seemed very like, I don't know. It was kind of reminiscent of some other like Vader
I will
stuff.
say this about Anakin: the way he starts off, he's like the master. What's the term people use nowadays to be like a lover boy? The master of Riz or some bullshit like that. It's like he's like a lover boy. He's being smooth and all that. He's being loving, kind, warm hearted. That last scene right there, cold blooded.
Yeah, and conveniently enough, Padme unconscious for it. So like I would be willing to bet that if she was not poisoned and was standing in that situation, she probably would have said something along the lines of, Clovis, come with us, tell everyone what you know. Like, she would have been, forgiving. But also, she even said it earlier in the episode, right? With regards to Dodd, she mentioned something about like believing in second chances and stuff. I mean, she was using it to spy on Clovis, but I think she wouldn't. I don't think she would have left Clovis there to die. Also knowing that Clovis saved her, which was also where it kind of gets a little dark sidey and a little kind of Anakin comes out not so clean at the end there, because Clovis risks his life, pulls a gun on the Separatists to get the antidote, and
On
then
her own planet,
gets
because Lothar
dumped
made it a
behind.
point, you can't threaten me on my
Dude,
own planet. Yep.
I watched that scene and I thought to myself, it was reminiscent of. I know we've always talked about history. I was watching not too long ago. I was rewatching Tom Cruise's movie Valkyrie
Oh,
at the
okay.
end, where he's about to stage a coup and he pulls out the pistol, and then you just see him surrounded, and it was just pretty much like it's similar to the idea of like, no matter how hard you try to do the right thing, if you're affiliated with terrible people, your plans will just end up backfiring on you, and you're just going to be in a deep hole, pretty much.
Yeah, definitely a cool episode. I think also we get to see spying, which throwing back, even though it's poor spying, way, 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 way back, I want to say, to one of our early episodes, I recall bringing up like, hey, do we ever see like Palpatine spies or any espionage? Because it gets talked about how there's spies that have informed them that the senator is gonna be here or whatnot, if I recall. And I said, oh, it'd be cool if we, eventually get some espionage. And though I stand by the fact that this was some terrible espionage, or just terrible everything being kept in secret, we still got it. So we do see that there's a little spy
Almost like
fair,
the movie Spies Like Us.
spycraft going on, right?
It's
Yeah,
like
I mean,
Spies Like Us. Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, Spies Like Us.
Well, I will say the coolest spy thing we get is definitely Padme with the
She
uh
dropped the clip, and
with
then
when she drop yeah, when she's hugging him
oh
and
my
she's
god,
looking at Anakin who's watching her, and she
dude, that
drops
was
it.
just an alley oop right there. She's just like, she just notices like, hey, drop. Anakin just like, I want to kill the guy with my lightsaber right now, but I got to do what's right for the time
That's
being.
definitely cool. It was like a blind drop, which is a
Oh yeah,
very spy kind of thing, but
Lee,
force interweaved into it, which was cool.
yeah, I mean, I think this is the first time that the Republic spied, because I think we saw the Separatists with that one clone trooper,
The clone, yeah.
and
See
so now
then
that this is
that
the
we're
first
getting
time we
into
see
it
them
now,
utilize it.
and then New Gunray escaping.
so now that we're getting into it, it's like we see this separatist spy all the time, and now the Republic are trying to spy. It's like, are they
and
just
they're
trying to go back
they're
and
bringing
forth from different
senators into
states?
this.
It's not
Yeah,
just spying, but weapons and all that stuff. It's like tick for tack. It's just pretty much like, oh, the separatists did this. Well, we got to throw it back in their face. It's like we got to do this and that, and like, trying to one up each other. I'm like, in the end, we all know who wins.
Definitely risky having the senator spy too, because technically you would assume they have some form of diplomatic immunity. I think that's been mentioned in earlier episodes where it's like, Padme has no problem going to a planet that's in question when there's other, but right, if they're spies, are they covered under diplomatic immunity? That's getting more real world situation that,
Do
you
you
know,
guys have a Geneva Convention? I mean, no. I think the only difference is Clovis has no idea what he's getting into. Padme, at least, she can think on her feet because she's dealt with this shit before.
seemed like Clovis was just in it for the money.
yeah.
Part of the banking clan. I mean, we haven't gotten any other real motive, right? We didn't we haven't had him give like a speech like, oh, you think they're so good, but it just was him mentioning
Hey, who?
financially
Hey,
that,
I'm
Yeah,
saying,
it's like
who
it's
wouldn't
a
get
private
sued for
investment
a
with a
piece of chicken?
guaranteed return, so
oh,
AKA war. Yep. So we see that, and I know we're going to see that in detail in the sequel trilogy at one point, all the profiteering, but yeah,
Money
don't mess
talks,
with
baby. Money talks.
Yep.
All right. Anything else, fellas?
No,
Well,
I bought my lightsabers. I'm good.
Tom's point, and we're gonna have some action next week, and now we're going back to Geonosis. So we'll see how they one up the Battle of Geonosis in episode 2, and pretty exciting to see what happens.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Going back to where it began. Oh yeah.
Yep, beginning of the Clone Wars.
I
Yeah.
love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Begun the Clone Wars have.
Yep. All right, well, it's a wrap. Thank you everyone for joining Three Simple Men making their way through the galaxy. Hit that like, comment, subscribe, and come back next week for some more Clone Wars content. May the Force be with you, always.